I have just been to see the brand new film Civil War, and the first thing that I thought when I came out of it is that was a very, very dark film. It is really, really brutal, and there's a reason why it's got such high ratings, and that's because it portrays the darkness and the brutalities of war and being on the front line as a journalist really, really well. And so I thought today, let's run through my top 5 darkest moments in this film. Now, there will be spoilers throughout this video, so if you haven't seen the film, go and watch it and then come back and have a look at my list. And before we go any further, please make sure that you click that red subscribe button down below and have your notifications turned on. So in 5th place, as the 5th most dark moment in this film, I have when they're on their road trip journey, but they stop overnight to see what is firing in the distance, and they can see it at night. And they return in the morning to then join the fighters so that they can take photos and document it. Now, this moment is really, really dark because what happens is this is the first time Jessie is basically on the front line professionally with her camera, and so everything's kind of a bit new to her. And what happens is they go into this building with the rebels and they find an army soldier who is pretty much helpless. He's the last man standing as part of the opposite side, and he basically begs for his life, and the people who Jessie is with basically just end up shooting him dead and being quite ruthless in the fact that they just shoot him and then just leave him abandoned. And what's really dark about this moment is then Joel tells Jessie to go up to this guy who she's just seen be shot dead right in front of her and take a photo of him, and basically says, this is the job, this is what you've signed up for. It's really, really dark, and it's definitely a turning moment for Jessie's character. In 4th place, I have Lee's moment of sudden trauma amongst the final fighting near the end of the film. And that is because we spent this entire film watching Lee basically block out any sort of trauma or sadness or darkness inside of her. Because if she begins getting slightly emotional in any of these circumstances, then she won't be able to do her job as a journalist, which is trying to take photos of the facts, of the evidence, and not let this war get inside of her head. Now, Jessie, of course, really struggles with that. Lee is basically a solid brick wall. She tries to not let anything get to her. And then at the end, we just see her fall apart because everything just starts overloading, and we just see her crash underneath this pressure, and she doesn't really know what to do. And we see Jessie, who, bearing in mind earlier on in the film, was pretty much likely going off and taking all these photos, and Lee is just dead frozen and has to be helped by her friends. And it's just a really dark moment and kind of just shows the turning point of the character. And then, of course, after this, she unfortunately dies. And that's really sudden, and that's really sad as well. Speaking of which, in 3rd place, we have Jessie taking a photo of Lee dying. Now, of course, this is quite a heroic moment in the film because, of course, Lee ends up going and sacrificing herself to save Jessie from the firing line. But what makes this moment really dark is that the film starts with Jessie asking Lee, when I die, will you take a photo of me? Because technically that is her job. And then it turns out at the very end, it's actually Jessie who's taking a photo of Lee dying. And so it kind of plays with your mind. It's what makes it really dark, because the opposite of what we were expecting to happen does end up happening. And this character, our main character, who we've spent the entire film basically getting to learn and getting to know, suddenly just dies, and that's it. There's no grieving process or anything, and then Jessie just takes the photo and tries to be that emotional wall, blocking out everything, because that is the job. So it makes it really, really dark. In 2nd place, we have a moment from my favourite part of the film, and that is Jessie lying in the pile of dead bodies. If there is any way to show you the brutality of war, it is a mass grave. And Jessie, of course, is in this really tense moment with everyone around her, and then she ends up accidentally getting pushed in amongst the big action moment into this pile of dead bodies, this grave full of hundreds of bodies. And there's this incredible drone shot of the drone going up and just seeing Jessie lying in amongst these dead bodies, and it's just really horrific to see, and it's gross, and it's the type of shot that you would see on a newspaper. It's the type of shot that these guys really want to take a photo of, but she's stuck in the middle of it, and it's just horrible. And it's Jessie's reaction where you see like it actually hit her, that if she wants this to be her job, these are the sights that she's going to be living through all this time, and her lying in amongst these bodies is just disgusting and horrible and really dark. And so that's why I put it 2nd. But it doesn't beat the top spot. The most darkest moment, I think, in this entire film is the moment just before that, where we've got this really tense moment where they're trying to save Bohai because he's been taken away by these extremists, and it's just two guys, and there is one guy with red sunglasses on and one gun. In comparison to the rest of the film, especially to the climax where there's loads of guns, loads of guys, everything running around, this part is actually really dark because it is just one guy with one gun, and it just shows the brutality and of gun extremism and just how horrific it actually is, because he gives everyone one question, one chance. If they get it wrong, he just shoots them. He shoots Bohai, he shoots Tony, all of these people just completely destroyed, and it is horrific and horrible, and the reactions of the other characters and how it goes on for so long. And I think just because it's such a quiet setting and in the middle of nowhere in the open space right next to a mass grave just makes it really dark, and I think it's one of the best parts of the film. And as an honourable mention, which isn't going to be part of the main list, but I thought I'd just mention it because it is very dark, it's when Jesse sees the two men being hung at the petrol station. That part is very dark as well, for obvious reasons. But anyway guys, that is the end of my list. What do you think about my list? Do you agree with my top picks of the top 5 darkest moments from Civil War? Let me know down below in the comments what your favourite moment from Civil War is and what your darkest moment from the film is. And as always, we've been here on Gated Theories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.
Trace, you left me where no one can find me. There's no